Hi Bob. This is a video on how I'm using the spreadsheet now to get me a nice sounding tuning up there in the high treble. This is a little Steinway I did last week, a little Steinway S, and I've mapped the whole piano, and so now I'm ready to create the tuning. And during the course of the mapping, once I got the prime octave mapped, my A4 setting was 10.7. and my A3 setting was 0. I mapped D4 and E4 within that octave and set them in locations to where the fifths were balanced, and that means they were the same width. So both of those fifths are about 1.5 cents narrow, and that means that they were beating just about the same and that their resultant force were also about the same. The thirds progress very well because you've got a nice even range in there, and the thirds and all the beating will progress very nicely as it should. So anyway, when I mapped the A7, I used that D4, and I played D4 with the AccuTuner set at A7, and then I stopped the lights with the AccuTuner, and that's what gave me this 52 cents. So now I know I've got a triple octave fifth at A7 if I use this 52 cents setting. So you can see I've entered in my, that's my setting for A0, and then A1 is minus 14.1, A2 minus 4.7, and so forth. And get this out of the way, and see, we will now click on this blue button here, and this will tell the spreadsheet to start its process of helping us to create a tuning. Okay, we're going to use poly, and that's what these boxes are here. This means we're going to tell the computer that we're not going to use any templates or anything. This is just using the computer's math, which is a pair of polynomial distribution curves. One of them will be on the A's in the fourth partial section. The other one will be connecting the A's in the fundamental section. And then also tied into that main polynomial, there'll be some kind of a secondary, and that will be tied into the midpoints of each of those octaves, which is, of course, D sharp. So these blue arrows are the D sharp, or the midpoint of each octave adjusters, and then the reds are the A adjustments. And we're not going to adjust the A's if we really don't have to, but the D sharps will be used to correct the curves within those A targets to better match the piano. But anyway, that's the way that works. But what we're going to look at here is in the treble. That's what this video is about. So we're going to do the treble. And the first thing, now that the spreadsheet has created a poly tuning, we want to make sure that the poly that it created is exactly right for us. Okay, so I want to check the A5 and A6 numbers and make sure they're correct, but alas, they are not. The A5 should be 3.7 and A6 should be 11.3. So let's fix those first. Okay, so now if we were perfectly happy with this, then this would be a curve that would be a poly curve, a computer-generated tuning that, there it is. It would probably work and probably sound fine. But again, what I'm trying to do here is get more juice, more stretch in this area. And I did that by using the triple octave fifth instead of the triple octave. But now I'm trying to get more in this mid octave, because that's where so much of there's so much music that uses that top octave that I wanted to put a little bit more in that. And so that's what I'm going to do using the spreadsheet like that. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, first of all, the tuning is actually this red line. See that red line there? That's the actual tuning, the shape of the tuning. These blue bars are the differences between the notes. So between A7 and A sharp 7, there's 8.6 cents. Between A sharp 7 and B7, there's 10.4 cents, and so on. All right. So what I want to do is, you can see here, this is the poly curve. Now I've also done this on, I've created another one here that is the same tuning on one that I've modified a little bit. Okay, this is the poly right out of the can, and this is the one that I would use on the piano. Okay, look at the difference. I've raised D sharp 7 here to 24.3, or about 1.4 cents higher. But what that has done is it's really changed the shape of this curve through there. It's made it, it's raised up the midpoint and given it a little bit more of a not a straight line, but a curve that gives me more here. But look what it did to C8. It took C8 down from 83 down to 74. So all of that is good, and I get more juice here. C8 is still a little bit lower, so that's good. And the settings for A7 is still my triple octave fifth, which is also right where I want it. Okay, and one other thing I'll have you take a look at here just quickly, and I've covered this in another video, is how I'm able to use the D sharps to put the tuning to match my mapping for the third octave. There's D3 and E3. D3, and I've got 1/10 of a cent difference there. That's nothing. And then here in this fourth octave, which is probably the more important of these two, is 2.8 and 4.5, as opposed to what the polycurve gave me, which was this. So this is the exact kind of thing that we need to have these adjustments available, because if putting this curve on this piano would result in uneven fifths. And you can hear this in any kind of a computerized tuning if you listen for it. I don't care what program or what machine you're using to generate the curve. They will generally just compute a tuning that is computerized, but not necessarily match the piano. But that's why with these D sharps are so important. We can map, and we can then adjust the tuning to fit the piano. Okay, so that's basically all for this part. So if you want to unplug, you're welcome to. Also, look at the difference in the graph here, the red line. Okay, that's the actual tuning chart. So, but I thought, like I said, you can unplug now or turn this off if you like. But I thought, I don't want you to think that this is just arbitrary. I spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out what I want to do up there with these D sharps. And for a while, I was measuring where the triple octaves were on D4 and E4, and I was writing those down. And then, of course, it's easy to find out where the D sharp would be by just adding the two together and divide by 2, and that'll give you a real close setting for D sharp. And I did this on a number of pianos. I just took some pictures of some. And what I found out with all this was that the spreadsheet gets me there, and doing it this way gets me there. And they sound really nice. And so that's how I'm doing it now. And it's easy and it's fast. So I hope this has been remotely interesting and not too embarrassing for myself. So it's just for you, Bob. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye.